Hello and welcome everyone back to the channel. I'm Carlos, and in this video we are going to talk about multi-camera editing in Premiere Pro. So if you're doing anything like maybe YouTube tutorials, maybe a documentary, anything like that, where you have different cameras set up and you're trying to show different angles of the subject that you're either trying to teach or you're interviewing, this video is for you. I'm going to show you how to sync up the audio, and then I'm going to show you how within Premiere you can tap numbers to flip from one camera to the next. Let's get into it. But first, and welcome back. We're gonna jump into Premiere real fast. Here we are in Premiere, and I have all of the footage that I need for my last video where we talked about creating captions. I'm gonna grab my first camera, bring that down, and then I'm gonna grab my screen recording where I am actually showing you guys how to create the captions. Go ahead and drag that down to the timeline. So back in the old days, we would have to use the audio waveform visualizer to line everything up. Now all we have to do is select both of our video files with the audio attached. I'm gonna go ahead and right click and go up to Synchronize, and then it's gonna ask me Synchronize Clip. Now if you started all of your cameras at the same exact time, you might wanna go to Clip Start. Similarly, if you ended all of the recordings at the same time, you can go to Clip End, and over here we see grayed out time code and clip markers and stuff like that. To use any of those, you have to have an incredible amount of perfection flowing through your veins. But if you're anything like me, you just record. So what I do is I come down to audio, and I'm gonna let Premiere do all of the heavy lifting. Track channel, that's fine, I just leave that there. I'm gonna click OK. So now what's happening is Premiere is going to go through all of the audio of one file, and then it's going to go through the second video file, and then it's going to analyze that audio, and then it's going to move our clips. And we see over here where we had a little bit of extra video on the camera, and I bet you if we came over here, you see how the screen grab actually has a little bit more towards the end. Now that the analyzation is done, what we're gonna do is just hit play. I'm Carlos, and in this video, we're gonna take a look at, and it sounds really good. Premiere did a great job. So now what I'm gonna do is highlight both of these video clips, and I'm gonna nest them. So I'm going to right click, hit nest, multicam nested. Okay, click OK. So basically what we did is we created a video file out of the other two video files. And we know that because if we come over here to the multicam nested, if I double click, Premiere opens up that nested video, and we see that we have both of our videos up here and ready to go. Okay, I'm gonna close that so we don't get confused. So at this point, we don't necessarily need both of these audio tracks. So when we're here, what I generally do is I'll check the audio from the camera because I have a nice microphone attached to this camera. And I also use my Rode Podcaster to record directly to the computer. So depending on which one of these audios I consider better, that's the one that I usually stick with. So what I'm gonna do is click on the bottom one. I'm going to assume that this one here is the better quality. So I'm gonna come to the bottom one and hit delete. Now if I hit play, how we can create transcripts or perfect. Now there's no confusion. We're not using any extra audio tracks, no, nothing. What we've done so far is we created video files, we brought them into Premiere, we brought them into the timeline, we nested them, we figured out which audio we like best. Now what we have to do is enable the multicam editing feature. So what I'm gonna do is right click on the multicam nested. Then I'm gonna go up to multi-camera and enable. And we see that here on the right side panel, we see that the main video, the first one that we dropped down, which is my camera file, That's the one that's going to take precedence. That's camera 1. So the stacking order of each of these video files is important because the layer of that camera is the number that's going to trigger that footage. And while we're talking about multi-cameras, let's say that you're shooting a film or a documentary. You might be interested in knowing how many cameras will be supported within Premiere, and the answer is 10. You can have 10 camera feeds going into the same multi-camera footage editing workflow, and you just tap the number and that's the camera that shows up, which is incredible. Okay, so we have the multi-camera functionality enabled. Now what I'm gonna do is come up to this right side panel here and this wrench. I'm gonna click on that wrench and I'm going to change this viewport to multi-camera. Okay, so that has switched our viewport just a little bit. On the right side of the viewport, we see what is the active camera. On the left side of the viewport, we're able to come in here and actually click to make the changes to which camera we're going to see on the right side of the viewport. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna clean this up just a little bit. I'm gonna drag that in to crop off some of that little extra noise, a little bit of footage that we don't need in the beginning. Go ahead and trim that out. Now the hard part is done. We already have everything set up and everything is nested and we have everything enabled. So now we're ready to switch from one camera to the next. So I'm going to have my hands on the numbers that are above the letters of my keyboard, on top of the keyboard. If you're going to try to do this with a number pad to the right side of all the letters, it's not going to work. It has to be the numbers up at the top of the keyboard. So I'm going to keep my fingers on the number 1 and the number 2. Number 1 is our camera, and our number 2 is the camera that we are using. That's the screen recording. Okay, so now I'm going to hit the spacebar and let this play. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Carlos, and in this video, let's say I want to change the camera. Create transcripts. I hit the number 2 and it switched over to the screen recording. I hit 1 and it flipped back to the camera. But then I'm also going to show you how to I'm going to hit 2 to switch. But I'm also going to show you how to Let's hit 1 again. And now if I stop, now we see that Premiere has automatically, let's go ahead and mute this because we don't need to hear my voice more than just once. We have the first part, and then we see here that Premiere, when we hit the number 2, Premiere created a cut and automatically switched to our other camera, and then switched again, and then switched again. Okay, let's say that you were working and flipping through your cameras, but you accidentally selected the wrong camera. What you can do is go to that cut point, and I'm gonna hit the shift key because I wanna make sure that the playhead lands right at that cut. And that's a shortcut to actually snapping to that edit point or that cut point. And we see here that the camera is gonna go from the screen grab over to the camera feed. So I'm gonna come here and I'm just gonna click on the screen recording, and that way it just plays right through. Or if I was there, I can hit the 1 key to switch back to the camera that I wanted. Now let's say that we just barely missed where we wanted that cut to happen. Maybe we wanted this cut here to happen a little bit sooner. What I can do is zoom in, and I'm gonna hit the command key, control key on a PC. And I'm gonna come over to this cut right here. And you see how my cursor turned into this really crazy arrow looking thing? Now I can click and drag. And now that cut happens, but it happens a little bit earlier. So that'll help just in case you didn't quite nail that perfect timing. And it's just that simple. Multi-camera editing in Premiere Pro. Super easy, super useful. Like I said, up to 10 cameras or screen recordings or whatever. As long as your audio and all of this footage is the same audio, Premiere makes it so incredibly easy to come in here and add a little dynamic life to your videos using a bunch of different video feeds. If you learned anything in this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you know anyone that's looking to get into animation, movie making, graphic design, all that creative stuff, send this video on over to them. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. And if you notice, there's a little bell right next to the subscribe button. Click on that so every time I come out with new content, you'll be alerted. I hope this video finds you healthy, and I hope this video finds you safe. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.